As a public defender, Judge Karen fought for her client's rights. She was elected to the bench because she believes in doing the right thing.
I'm very passionate about helping people, period. But at what point are you going to resolve the resentment? At some point, you need to be the one going through something.
Objective, independent justice.
You can always turn your life around. If you keep walking, you can overcome whatever circumstances you're facing.
This is Supreme Justice with Judge Karen. First-time parents George and Megan Hurtley are suing Sable James in the amount of $1,000. The Hurtleys claim therapy with the defendant worsened their relationship and say they stopped attending to save their marriage.
Mr. and Mrs. Hurtley, you're suing Ms. James for $1,000. You're asking for a refund for therapy sessions you had. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Your Honor.
And are you a therapist?
I'm a certified life coach and a certified relationship coach.
Okay. And why did you feel the need to seek a therapist?
Your Honor, if I may. So I just gave birth about 7 months ago to two beautiful babies, twin babies, a boy and a girl. But long story short, my husband George was phenomenal before I gave birth, but as soon as I gave birth, everything just went completely downhill.
How long were y'all married before?
For 5 years, Your Honor.
For 5 years. Well, sometimes that happens once a baby comes into the picture.
Yes.
Or two babies.
Yes.
And then two babies, it doubles your problems, right?
Yes.
Did you have any help? Did you have a nanny or a nurse or anybody?
So our family's all the way down in San Diego, so we did hire a part-time nanny for a little bit.
Right.
But listen, Your Honor, it's this, having two new babies in the world and the stress and sleep deprivation.
But what happened with the part-time nanny?
She was partly in the picture, but it didn't.
What does that mean? Well, how often did she come around?
She was there 3 days a week.
Oh, okay.
And it was only during certain hours. But really, it wasn't really so much about the nanny that was the solution. Our relationship, just as soon as these babies came into the picture.
Well, the babies take a lot of care. So I beg to differ with you. If you have help with the babies, then that takes some stress off of you. Didn't you know you were having twins before you had them?
We did, Your Honor.
You didn't make arrangements before their birth that you were going to have a caregiver to come to help, or did you have the money for that?
Well, we had the money only for a part-time nanny.
Right.
Our parents, unfortunately, are ill, so they couldn't really travel to San Francisco, so they had to stay in San Diego.
And you weren't getting financial help from either side?
No, Your Honor, it's just all on us.
Okay, so what were you doing for a living before you had the kids?
I was a medical sales rep for a cardiologist.
Okay, but that pays pretty well.
It does.
Yeah,
but,
I know a medical sales rep. She does very well. How about you? What do you do for a living?
I run a marketing firm. So
okay, you run your own business.
I'm running my own business.
Right. Y'all couldn't find the money for a nanny?
It was hard, honestly, Your Honor, to find someone to trust. We interviewed a lot of people, and this part-time girl was the only one that at least I trusted.
Right.
So.
To her defense, look, we're both two type A personalities. We thought we could do it. We're not really good about asking for help, which is actually the reason why we're here today. That here we can't, I confided in a friend. We got this recommendation, this person that helps sort of solve somebody else's problems.
So you thought, well, we can handle this on our own with a little help.
We needed a therapist. I mean, we were arguing. We were definitely.
It was bad, Your Honor.
It was just ugly.
Yeah, George was not helping me with anything.
Right.
I had a C-section. I was recovering for 6 weeks. I hoped that he would have been the same husband that he was.
I mean, it's water under the bridge at this point, but it really was poor planning. So we start going to Miss James. What happens in the first session, Miss James?
The first session, we started off well. But as we got into the session, they started arguing with each other, and it was just like cats and dogs.
Right.
And
you couldn't get them to stop?
Couldn't get them to stop, so I thought once they did stop, that for the next session, I would give them some activities that they could work on.
Right, to bring back to the next session.
Exactly.
What were those activies?
Your Honor, she had us list 5 reasons why we fell in love with each other.
That was an activity to do at home?
At home, Your Honor. But honestly, at the time, we couldn't...
why did that need to be something you take at home? I can answer that question right now. I mean, why? I mean, that's it for the activity?
Just a little homework assignment, and then take a little time to look into themselves as to, what brought them together, and you have your highs and your lows along the way.
What did you think after the first section?
I'll be honest, we got into a huge argument after that because we didn't feel like this was going to work for us us at all.
Oh, y'all wait, when y'all left her, y'all got into another argument.
Correct.
What were y'all arguing about?
Because we were comparing ourselves to her relationship. She interjected herself a lot into the therapy session. So we were
you talking about your relationship with your husband?
Correct. Basically, what I like to do in my sessions is to share some personal experience.
Right. How long have you been married?
I've been married 15 years.
Okay.
So I had some experience.
Was this your first husband?
Yes.
Okay. And so you were telling them what, about why we get along or how we get along? Or what were you saying?
That I personally had experienced the exact same thing. And so what we did is to sit down together and just jot down things, differences about us, what brought us together.
Coming up on Supreme Justice.
They weren't really listening to me.
Right.
And my goal is to help them.
Right.
To get through it. And
but doesn't a therapist know how to stop a couple from fighting?
Exactly.
In therapy?
And later.
But you told her she could have a party in the living room.
Yes.
Okay, so just not a sex party?
No. Not on my couch.
Right.
Closed captioning provided by Supreme Justice is back with the case of George and Megan Hurtley, who are suing Sable James for $1,000.
So then y'all got home and said, we're just nothing like this, and then you just start fighting each other again?
Basically, Your Honor, it was just hard. We've been having a lot of communication issues since the baby, so we could not agree on anything.
You couldn't agree. Couldn't even could you come up with the 5 reasons you fell in love?
No, Your Honor.
You couldn't think of one?
I mean, we could think of one, but we couldn't think of
2, 3, 4, 5.
No.
You just couldn't get there.
We were just too tired.
So the next session is the next week, session number 2.
Yes.
What happened in session number 2?
So as I was reading off their list, the answer to the question.
I thought they couldn't answer the question.
Well, they brought me 1 or 2 answers. And so as a result, they started at it again.
They just start fighting.
They just started going back and forth with each other.
Right. What were they fighting about?
They were fighting about George not helping out with Megan, and so they just seemed to have been crazy, if you will.
So they really weren't listening to you.
So they weren't really listening to me.
Right.
And my goal is to help them.
Right.
To get through it. And
but doesn't a therapist know how to stop a couple from fighting?
Exactly.
In therapy?
Yes. However.
But what did you do to stop the fighting?
Well, what I did was I again showed them how my personal experience with my husband.
Right. No, that's not how you stop a fight between 2 people fighting.
Exactly.
I told them they should stop.
Okay, so how did the second session end?
The second session ended that they would come back for session number 3.
Well, what was the homework this time?
I'm sorry?
Was there any homework?
No, there was no homework at that time.
Okay. Well, they left the door with what to do?
Nothing. We were hoping to get a toolkit out of her, Your Honor.
No toolkit, nothing. Not a screwdriver, a hammer, nothing.
Communicate. Yeah, everything you said, absolutely. Thank you, Your Honor. You made the point.
So then things just kept going that same way. That was the second session, right? Yeah. Okay, now we go back for session number 3.
So to be honest, Your Honor, at this point, after we came home, we were like, this is not the person for us. We need a real therapist. We went home. We agreed that we're letting Sable, giving her notice that we don't want to pursue this any further.
Did you have them sign anything when they started with you?
Yes, as a matter of fact. If I could, there's the agreement that they signed just prior to the start of the session.
Right. So, but it doesn't talk about your professional services in here. Just that counseling often leads to better relationships and reductions in feelings of stress. There are no guarantees of what you will experience. Accepting any mandated reporting, all information will be kept confidential. Then you talk about how you get paid. Private sessions.
Right.
They last for 90 minutes?
Yes, 5 90-minute sessions.
That's forever in therapy. Most therapy sessions are 45, 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't accomplish nothing in an hour and a half, 3 times?
Well, we did sit down and talk and try to come to a resolve as to what was causing them to be unhappy and bickering with each other, which was not the right thing to do, particularly since they just had
I have a lot of experience with therapists. I've met a lot of therapists. I've been in therapy a couple of times, and I have never heard any protocol like the protocol you just gave today. You didn't give these people any tools to work with. So how are we now?
Well, how are we now?
Yeah, you look like you're getting along. You're standing pretty close. There's no light between you.
We've come together over these past couple months. I mean,
okay. Did you go find another therapist?
To be honest, no. I think magically through this experience, we sort of bonded and came closer together.
So the therapist brought you closer together?
Well, I would say the response to bad therapy.
No, I understand, right. It was the response to the bad therapy.
Your Honor, we got suspicious at her lack of experience that we started doing some research on our own.
Right.
So we were just trying some Google techniques. But I also wanted to point out, Your Honor, that in the contract, nowhere in the contract does it say that her services are non-refundable. So.
No, I figured that out. You think I can't read a contract? I am a lawyer, believe it or not.
I apologize.
No, I saw that. There's nothing in there about the payment. So you you asked for all of your money back, or you asked for, what did you ask back?
So yeah, Your Honor, I have here to submit 2 pieces of evidence.
Let me see.
Absolutely, there are 2 emails.
To her?
To her. The first email actually is to her asking for the refund, clearly communicating explicitly in writing that we were unhappy with our services and that we were demanding a full refund.
Right.
And there is also her response,
right.
which basically
That's
says,
non-refundable, which it doesn't say that in the contract, that it's non-refundable. Exactly. Your contract doesn't say it's non-refundable, number 1. So you told them it was non-refundable. It's not in the contract. Number 2, I just don't think you gave these people anything in 2 sessions. 2 hours, I mean, what is that, 3 hours with these people, and you got them write down 5 reasons why they fell in love. That's the best you could come up with? I'm ready to rule. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000. Good luck to you.
Judge Karen has ruled in favor of the co-plaintiffs. The defendant is ordered to pay $1,000.
We're happy with the results, but we're even happier that we're together in a better place.
My feeling is that I try to give all my clients the best coaching that they can receive so that they can better their lives.
Coming up.